Hello, hello. Heather Jean here. This is Confidence with Coffee. And we are talking in this segment all about the most recent podcast or podcast episode. So if you like your podcast in audio form, you will find the episode anywhere you get your podcasts on Confidence Through Cabaret. Just search that on your favorite platform. If you are here on YouTube, then check out the Vodcast playlist and you'll be able to see the full video version of the episode. So this week I was joined by the beautiful Carol Clegg, and we were talking all about confidence to take a break from your business or from your work. And we got into some really interesting territory, things that I think are really fundamental for us to be able to have the space to be able to see if our work is serving us and is really in line with what we want to be doing. So first of all, for me, we spend more than half our waking hours in and around work. And, if you think about by the time you get ready for work, and by the time you commute to work, if you're commuting to work, and by the time you do your work, and then if you don't finish on time, and then by the time you get home and or get unwound from the day, that is more than half your waking hours, at least during the hours that you're working. And that's assuming that you sleep for the suggested 7 to 8 hours a night, which is important that you are, because if you're getting that rest, then that's a space that you really do need to recover. So it's really important that we feel motivated and that we feel engaged and we feel passionate about the work that we're doing. And, sometimes we get so wrapped up in what we're doing and we get so into the routine that we might forget to take the breaks that we need. And having that distance really kind of gives us the opportunity to get a little bit of hindsight, to get a little bit of the new view on what it is that we're doing and spending our time on, and being able to see if it's still serving us. And particularly if you have your own business, it's a chance to think about not just, it's a habitual, this is what I'm doing and it seems to be working, but really kind of taking that space to say, is this what I want to be doing? Is this serving me? Is this serving my clients? And is this serving my business overall? Because that's why we have a business. So it's not the only reason, but it has to be a major factor that we're enjoying what we're doing, so that we can connect with our audience or our customers or our guests. So one of the things that I have always said since the beginning of emails is that emails shouldn't be a part of all day, every day in our lives. And when we first got the ability to get our little mobile phones and get emails pushed to them, so we get instant notification and then we would have to answer it, it was a little bit like, a ringing phone before we had caller ID. People felt like they had to answer the phone because it was ringing and we didn't know who it was. And often that would take priority over what it was that we were doing before the phone rang. Well, then caller ID came in and it became easier to sort of screen our calls and think I'll call them back later. But, when you think about emails, they started to take over our lives first. And knowing that those emails were there and feeling like we had to respond immediately wasn't the best use of our time, because it interrupted what we were doing. And even if we didn't go and service that email or the contents of it, we were thinking about it, we were aware of it. It was distracting and disruptive to our thoughts of our focus of what we were doing before. And so I've turned off email notifications on my phone very long time ago. But what I had to do when I was running conferences all the time face to face was to manage my clients' expectations. So if I wasn't training, I was instantly replying to my customers or my clients. And then when I was training, I wasn't instantly and responding. And people started to say, "What's happening?" So they would send me a text message or they would call me and say, "Why haven't you replied to my email?" And then, "Why haven't you replied to my phone call?" And so on. So I had to manage the expectations of my clients. And so whether I was training or whether I was not training, I would check my emails in the morning, at lunch sometimes, and in the afternoon, late afternoon. So if I wasn't working, I would typically check my emails sort of first thing in the morning just to find out what I was dealing with. Maybe sometime between 9 and 10, I would check my emails. And then I would allow a little bit of flexibility in my diary so that I could deal with those. Because if you check them and you allow maybe 15 minutes to check them and no time to service the contents, then that doesn't make sense. So, allowing maybe an hour in the morning to check your emails and respond and service those, and then build the rest into the planning of the rest of your day or your week. And then I would do the same thing either just before or just after lunch. And I would do the same thing somewhere between 4 and 5 o'clock. And I would always put a comment about, how I could be reached if there was an emergency. And it just didn't happen where people would say, oh, this is an emergency, or very, very rarely would that happen. Well, the same thing happens with social media. I have shut off my social media connections so that it's not pushing through. You have a new message on this platform or that, or you have a new post to see or notification or whatever it is. And so now what I have, and actually this has just come up, and I showed this on the vodcast as well. I've now got my evening summary, and I have it set up so that I have a morning, an afternoon around lunchtime, and an evening summary. And that shows me all of the updates from Facebook and from LinkedIn and from Instagram and so on. And so then I can go on and check out those notifications if I want to. The other thing that I do is I no longer, as of probably about 3 or 4 months ago, I no longer check every single notification. So I used to clean out my notifications on Facebook all the time, and I would be checking those and weighing in and commenting and supporting and so on. And I no longer do that. I check the ones that are most relevant for me, or that hold the most interest for me, or where I can show up and be the most support that I need to be. So I have a little clip from how Carol organizes her day. She gave us some fantastic ideas where Carol themes her days of the week and just does those themes on that day of the week and not through the rest of the day, within reason. So let's have a look at the video and see how Carol organizes her week and some of the tips that she has for theming your days of the week. If you have your own business, this is especially helpful. Let's have a look. How do you theme your week?
So Mondays are podcast days, podcast production day for myself, for our podcast, Connect, Inspire, Create. Love to try, if I'm going to be a guest, to try and bring it in on a Monday. So, and then admin. I'm a Monday fan, so I love Mondays. It's kind of like this refreshing start to the week, and let's get going and pop everything in. I'm also a Clubhouse is one of my tools in my kit this year. So very focused on audio. So Clubhouse is another Monday tool. Tuesdays are everything marketing. So I can create on Canva. I work with my clients' marketing. I look at my own marketing. And then I have Wednesday to work with clients and try and structure that in. Thursday, I come back to Clubhouse because I do audio again. And I'm also now breaking it up into a morning routine and then an afternoon routine, and try and bulk things together that flow, but leaving some gaps, because there have to be gaps. Things happen.
Yes, things happen. If you have, let's say, for example, you've decided that you're going to work 9 to 5, or that is the required time that you work, then you cannot afford to fill up that whole day with plans. So I would say don't schedule any more than 6 hours. I've run time management or time and task management for many years, decades, in fact. But I find that by saying maybe 6 hours of your day is planned, because another at least 2 hours of your day might get, taken up by things you weren't expecting. So what you can do if you're not sure how long to leave for unexpected things is you can do like a time log and follow that time log for at least a week, ideally 2 weeks, and see where your peaks and troughs are, and try and plan time in those slots where you're most likely to have unexpected things interrupting your planned activity. So When you do that, then it means that you can stay on course and you can, as much as possible, get things done. And that really is motivating because when we don't knock off our to do list, that's when we end up working ridiculous length of hours, or we end up, um, you know, feeling deflated because we didn't get things done. We didn't get everything done, and therefore we feel like we didn't. It wasn't enough. So the way to do that is to manage what you're putting into your planning. I love Carol's suggestion about, kind of having set days of the week. For me, that would work a little bit more professionally if I split mornings and afternoons. I might have mornings where they're free flows and then afternoons where they have those themes, or vice versa. That means then that my morning can be things like checking socials, responding to emails, etc. And then in the afternoon, then have my theme of marketing or podcasting or whatever it is. I don't schedule my social media. I used to, and I did that for about a year, and that was great because I knew it was done and I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to engage with it. I didn't have to be posting. But I found that I wanted more spontaneity in it. So my adjustments there were to plan the week. But then if a good conversation kicked off on the Tuesday and we wanted to go more into that, then that would change the post that I would put up, let's say on a Wednesday. And I do, of course, have planned marketing activities that go up on socials on set days of the week. So there is some consistency, some schedule, but also some flexibility, and that works well for me. And the way to be able to structure in breaks is to be able to set things up in advance, to be able to, if you're not going to be in work, let's say for a week, you're having time off, then put that into the footer of your emails. Make those auto responses, and you can have auto responses set up on a lot of the socials platforms as well, and really be able to manage expectations about when you will be available or when you might be most likely to reply, so that you're not feeling like you have to reply. And actually, if you go check out the full podcast or vodcast episode, we really get into setting it up for taking a break. And then the problem is you take the phone with you, and you're using it for your camera, and you're using it for your messages to your family, and so you're always there on it. And the temptation is, of course, then to dip in and be involved in the things that you were taking a break from. So having those messages in place makes you less likely to dip in and just see what's happening. And it is a certain amount of setting boundaries and having self-discipline for yourself. But that break is so important for your energy and for your self-care. And if you think that you are indispensable and that the internet or the social media or whatever it is cannot live without you, then put your finger in a glass of water, take your finger out, and look at the hole you made, because it's completely filled in. And before I had my break in January, I felt like I had to be answering all of the time. And it wasn't true, because the internet was still there. It still survived without me responding. I wasn't in a position to be even tempted to respond because I was dealing with family things. And what I found was that actually that break put into perspective how much or how little I needed to be engaging on a lot of the places that I was engaging on. And it helped me to be able to see where a structure of my day that works for me is so important. If you have anything to share, either tips or questions or things that you'd like to see on the podcast or on the YouTube channel in general, or on any of the socials on Confidence Through Cabaret, then get in touch, drop a message below. Please like and subscribe while you're here. It really helps. And, we're all putting our time into this, just completely, entirely to help you. So please like and subscribe it, and comment if you have something to say. We really appreciate it. We are Confidence Through Cabaret on all of the socials. So the only place we are not Confidence Through Cabaret is Twitter, which is at YBYWYS. And on Clubhouse, I am at Heather YBYWYS. And those beautiful 6 little letters stand for It Is Your Body. And it is your world, and it is your stage. Take up space and own it and enjoy it, and have a break when you need to. There is nothing selfish about self-care. So enjoy your time. Thank you for being here. We love having you here, and we'll see you again next time. Bye for now.